Good day, everyone. I am Alvin Bohol, and today I'm going to discuss to you one of the topics in data communications and networking one, which is network models. So upon completion of this lesson, you are expected to differentiate protocol models and a reference model. Number two, define the TCP or IP model and the OC model. Number three, discuss the functions of the layers of the OC model and TCP or IP model. And number four, compare the OC model with the TCP or IP model. Now to start our discussion, let us discuss first what is network model. So network models provide a framework for understanding how network function. They help in designing, implementing, and troubleshooting network system. So there are two prominent network models, the TCP or IP models and the OC model. Understanding these models is essential because these models will help us understand and structure data transmission across network. Also, it will guide us to design, configure, and troubleshoot network infrastructure efficiently. Okay, so protocol and reference model. So what is protocol model? So a protocol model provides a model that is closely equivalent to the structure of a certain protocol. So protocol model provides a simplified view of how different protocols interact to enable communication between devices. And reference model provides a common reference for maintaining consistency within all types of network protocols and services. So it is not intended to be an implementation specification. Okay, so this means that a reference model act as a blueprint or a guideline for how networks should be organized and how different components, for example, a hardware or a software, should communicate with each other. So now to better understand this, let us discuss the two network models, namely the OC model and the TCP or the IP model. So network models. So what is network model? Okay, network model is a set of network layers and how they interact. Okay, so the following are the two most important and well-known models. So we have the OC model or the Open System Interconnect. So the OC model, this is a system that breaks down network function. This is the most popular type of internetwork reference model, and it consists of 7 layers. Then we have the TCP or the IP model. So, or the Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. So it is known as the DoD or the Department of Defense model. So the protocol that is used in the Internet. So now let us discuss the function of the layers of the OC model. So let us discuss first this OC model. So functions of the layers of the OC model. So layers of the OC model. So there are 7 layers of the OC model. So we have the application layer. So this is the layer 7. The presentation layer, this is the layer 6. Decision layer, we have, this is the layer 5. Transport layer 4. The network layer, layer 3. The data link layer, layer 2. And physical layer, the layer 1. So, as mentioned, the OC model is a network model widely used today because and it consists of 7 layers. So like this one. So this is the 7 layers of the OSI model. So this is a diagram that shows the OSI model and its equivalent layer, and we will discuss them one by one. So let's start with the layer 7 or the application layer. Okay, so application layer or the layer 7. So application layer, it is the topmost layer of the OC model. So this layer provides a means for the user to interact with the software application. Okay, so for example, when you type a website like a google.com and hit the enter, the application layer, specifically the HTTP or the HTTPS protocol, is responsible for making that request to the web server to bring the website to your screen. So that is the function of the application layer. So next is we have the presentation layer. So the presentation layer provides proper common data format that is sent across application layer services such as data format translation, compression and decompression, and encryption and decryption. So for example, if you are going to convert a file like an image from PNG format to WebP or GPG, the, the presentation layer is responsible for data format translation. So that is the rule or the function of the presentation layer. So they are responsible for translation. Or they can also compress or decompress a file. For example, a big file, we can compress that and decompress. So also we can encrypt and decrypt the data using the presentation layer. Okay. Next is we have the session layer. So it is layer 5. So this layer establishes, manages, and terminates connections between applications. So this layer provides services to the presentation layer. Example, a video call like Zoom. So this layer ensures that the session between your device and the other person's device is established, keeping the session alive during the call. It handles any interruption like reestablishing the connection if it drops briefly and terminates the session once the call ends. Okay, so this is how session layer works. Then we have the transport layer or the layer 4. So this layer defines services to segment, to transfer, and reassemble data and individual communications between the end devices. So this layer basically describes how data is sent across the network. Okay, for example, when you are downloading a large file from a website, this layer is responsible in ensuring that the file is transferred reliably and efficiently. Okay, so that is the rule or the function of the transport layer and the network. Next is we have the network layer or layer 3. So this layer provides service to exchange the individual pieces of data over the network between identified network device. So for example, when you send an email, then the network layer is responsible for routing the email from your computer to the recipient's email server. Okay, so that this is how network layer works. So they provides services to exchange the individual pieces of data over the network between identified network devices. Next is we have the data link layer or the layer 2. So this layer provides methods for exchanging data over a common media. So example, Ethernet is a common example of a data link layer protocol. So it is used to transmit data across local area networks or the LANs. So last layer of the OSI model, we have the physical layer or the layer 1. So this layer describes the mechanical, electrical, functional, and procedural means to activate, maintain, and deactivate physical connections for bit transmission and to and from a network device. Okay, example, an Ethernet cable is a physical medium used to connect devices in a local area network. So it operates at the physical layer of the model, of the OSI model. So wireless communication, so such as Wi-Fi, is also an example of a physical layer. Okay, so now that we have learned the functions of the OSI model layers, let us discuss then the TCP or IP model. So we are going to discuss the layers of the TCP or IP model. So unlike the OSI model, which has 7 layers, the TCP or IP model has only 4 layers. So we have the application, the transport, the internet, and network access. Now let us discuss the application or the function of the layer of the TCP or IP model. So first is we have the application layer or the layer 4. So this layer represents data to the user plus encoding and dialog control. It is responsible for representing data to the user, encoding and decoding data, and dialog control. So example, email clients. So this layer is responsible for sending and receiving emails. Another for file transfer clients. So this application layer, so they transfer files between computers. Another for web browsers, they interact with web servers to retrieve and display web pages. Next is we have the transport layer. So transport layer, it supports communication between diverse devices across device network. So example, when you video chat with a friend across the globe, the transport layer ensures reliable data transmission by breaking the video and audio streams into packets, numbering them and retransmitting lost packets to ensure smooth and uninterrupted communication. Okay. So that is how transport layer and the TCP or IP model work. Next is we have the internet layer. So internet layer determines the best path through the network. Example, when you send an email, the network layer is responsible in determining the best route for the email to travel from your computer to the recipient email server. It uses protocols like IP to assign addresses to devices and routers. Okay. Next is we have the network access layer. So the network access layer, it controls the hardware devices and media that makes up the network. Okay. Example, when you connect your computer to a router using an Ethernet cable, the network access layer handles the transmission of data bits over the cable. Okay, so this is how network access layer works. Okay, so now that we have learned the functions of the layers of the TCP or IP model, so as the OSI model, let us then discuss the difference between these two prominent network models. Okay, OSI model versus TCP or IP model. Okay, so an OSI model is lost out to TCP as the protocol suite of the internet. Okay, so this means that the TCP/IP model gained popularity over the OSI model due to its simplicity, practicality, and successful deployment on the internet, making it the preferred protocol suite. Another is the TCP or IP model is mapped through the OSI model. Next is the TCP or IP is the protocol used today, but OSI model is often used too. So this means that, okay, this here is a diagram about the comparison or how OSI model differs from the TCP or IP model. So in OSI model, we have 7 layers, okay? And the TCP or IP model have 4 layers. As you can see from the diagram, the application layer of the TCP is consisting of the application layer, the presentation layer, and session layer of the OC model. Then the transport layer, both layers have their equivalent transport layer. Then next, so the network layer in the TCP/IP model is equivalent to the network layer of the OC model, and the network access layer of the TCP or IP model is equivalent to the data links layer and the physical layer. So, and this is the difference between the OC model and the TCP or IP model. So now, before we end our discussion, let us sum up what we have learned from this lesson. Okay? So, from the beginning, we have learned the importance of the protocol and the reference model and network communication, as it provides a standardized framework for network communication, rela- ensuring reliability and efficient data transfer between devices. Then we learned the two network models, which is the OC model and the TCP model, that the OC model provides a conceptual framework for understanding network communication, while the TCP or IP model is a practical implementation used in today's network. Also, we have discussed the function of the OC model and the TCP IP model layers, and understanding the two models and its layers is very important as they provide a solid foundation for network design, implementation, and troubleshooting. So by understanding the function of each layer, we can effectively diagnose and resolve network issues, optimize network performance, and secure network infrastructure. Okay. Lastly, we have learned the difference between the OC model and the TCP and the TCP or IP model, and that the OC model is a theoretical framework with 7 layers, providing a clear separation of functions for network communications, while the TCP or IP model is a practical implementation with 4 layers closely aligned with the OC model. So it is the foundation of the internet and is widely used in modern network. While the OC model is more comprehensive, the TCP or IP model is simpler and more efficient for real-world application. Okay, so and here ends our discussion and network model. I hope you have learned something, and thank you for listening.